festive seasons, and that's why we saw that there was an expansion because there was an increase in demand. But then now it's back to reality. Things are still the same. Even the capacity utilization rate of the manufacturing sector is about 46%. That's suboptimal. If you compare it to other developing countries, you have Japan that has the capacity utilization of 101%. So they're even operating higher than capacity. And then you have other countries. Ivory Coast is about 70%, and then you have Nigeria at about 46%. So it could possibly be below 46% at this point because manufacturers have been complaining about, the increase in energy costs, the increase in logistics costs, and how this is affecting their business. So if things aren't done at this point to assist the manufacturers, although the CBN has said, we're giving priority to the manufacturers, and 60% of the forex in the market should be allocated to the manufacturers, but there are other issues like diesel from 160 to 260. Gas supply is another issue to power their plants. So the manufacturing sector is clearly not out of the water yet.
All right, so thank you so much, Okwemi, for coming on the program and, of course, shedding more light on those issues. This is one conversation that isn't going anywhere just yet. Yeah. Okwemi Guntade is a senior economic research analyst with Financial Derivatives Company. So we're still focusing on commodities, but let's talk a little bit about how some of the oil and gas stocks we track here in the program shaped up at the end of midweek trading at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So there was largely all red across most of those numbers, save for Mobil, which added 1.85% to its share price to close at 275 Naira. Now, Forte Oil, Owando, Seplat, and Total were all in the red at the close of trade yesterday. Forte Oil is now at 67 Naira 66, as well. Seplat is at 370 and Total is at 278 Naira. At the end of the day, index came in at negative 2.31%. Year to date is at minus 5.8%, and dividend yield is at 2.1%. Well, recently, Nigeria's Vice President launched the 20,000 new solar energy household units, and it says it will be dispersed across rural Nigeria in the first phase of the federal government's Beyond the Grid project in 2017. According to the Vice President, while the federal government's commitment to developing traditional means of power generation and transmission is unshakable, off-the-grid supply, energy supply that is, will receive heightened attention moving forward.
Let me first say how very pleased I am and very excited to be here to celebrate with the Wuna people on this very, very auspicious occasion of the launch of the solar home systems. I think that the people of this village are representative in many ways of what we see all over Nigeria. Very hardworking, very serious-minded, very committed to their country and to their communities, but lacking in some very important tools for work, lacking in very important facilities to make life easier for themselves. And in November of 2015, I think the conversation actually started about September, the President Muhammadu Buhari, spoke to me about what we could do to very quickly accelerate electrification, especially in the rural areas. We had in mind all manner of different types of projects that we could do to bring electricity to many of our rural communities, to many of our villages. And he was particularly concerned that as we spoke about farming and also education in the rural areas, how would we be able to get maximum irrigation facilities, maximum facilities for education, all of those kinds of things. How do we maximize these things if we can't get power to those places? Water pumps, irrigation equipment, just about anything requires power. And so we began to think about it and that would be cost effective and that we could deploy very quickly all over the country. And I think that once we took that decision, we were very fortunate also to have met with the UK Minister for Africa at the time. They were launching a scheme called Energy Africa. And it was through Energy Africa that we came across Agric Technologies, because they had been doing some work in parts of East Africa. So we came together and we began to look for ways of deploying solar systems in villages in Nigeria. And I think there must be something very special about Wuna village, that it became the very first to have that deployment done. And I hope that you're first, that you will always remain first in everything. Thank you. But let me say that we expect that this will be replicated all over Nigeria, all over Nigeria. We're starting with 20,000, but I'm sure that we'll ramp up very quickly. We've been talking to the private sector about involving themselves also in this project. We think that as solar power becomes cheaper, and it is becoming cheaper really practically day by day, we'll be able to afford to do even more, to deploy more across the country, especially to those places that are not at the moment served by our grid. The grid is just one, the grid is one, if you like, transmission center. But we cannot use, or we cannot take all our power from the grid. And so it's not, in the next few years, it will not be absolutely important for you to be connected to the grid, because we will be deploying every type of off-grid solution that we can deploy. And we want to do that in the industrial areas. Of course, we have noted that this particular area is an industrial area. It's supposed to be the industrial heartland of Abuja. And we think that we can deploy, off-grid capacity here, so that this place can also benefit from what it was originally designed to be. That
Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. So the federal government is really looking into an energy mix in 2017, and we'll track along with it. Why don't you track along with us? But Business Morning continues in just a moment. Join us again.